Well, what's up, guys? What I would do a video this afternoon talking about this morning, talking about Manchester United's performance against Lyon the other night. So there's only really one player that can be blamed for the fact that we didn't beat Lyon on Thursday night, and that is, of course, Andre Onana. Now, Andre Onana, I mean, I've tried many times to defend him and say that he's not that bad, but it's gotten to the point where I don't think any United fan can really defend him anymore. His performances recently haven't been exactly noteworthy. He's not done anything to be really that he really deserves to be applauded for. I look at Onana and I just feel like he doesn't deserve to be our first choice goalkeeper anymore. I mean, that performance against Lyon the other night was absolutely dreadful. He was at fault for both goals. We were winning 2-1, and he makes that mistake at the end of the game, which allows Lyon to equalise. Obviously, Rayan Cherki scored equaliser for Lyon, an equaliser they should never have gotten, but obviously, thanks to Onana making a mistake, that's exactly what happens. It's another one of those situations where Andre Onana's mistakes have cost us in a big game. You know, in a big game where we needed him to show what he can do, his mistakes have cost us yet again. And he keeps making mistakes in big games like this. He's shown that he's not a player we can rely on in big games like this where we need to be winning games. You know, there's no doubt in my mind that he should not start the second leg. If he starts the second leg against Old Trafford on Thursday, we're out. There's no doubt in my mind about that. To be honest, he doesn't deserve to start that game. I would start, I wouldn't take that if I was the manager, I wouldn't take that risk. I would put Bay India in goal for the second leg. You know, that's what he should have done in the first leg. He started out to Bay India, but oh no, he'd rather start fucking Andre Onana. It's ridiculous. If we actually sold him, I wouldn't be sad about that. I'd be glad to see him go. Mm. As far as I'm concerned, pack his fucking bags and piss off back to wherever it is he came from, as far as I'm concerned. He's an absolute idiot. We should never have sold David De Gea. I mean, yeah, David De Gea did make a few mistakes from time to time, but he wasn't making mistakes as regularly as Andre Onana was. He wasn't making mistakes every single week. He wasn't making mistakes in every single game that he played. Mistakes from David De Gea, yeah, they did happen, but they were quite rare in comparison to Andre Onana. He was terrible last season, and obviously cost us in the Champions League last season. And we all thought that this season we would see somewhat of a pretty substantial improvement. As last season, I kept saying, well, I kept saying that we should give, that we should cut Onana some slack because this is obviously his first season in the Premier League. Obviously, that was his first season in the Premier League, and I thought, let's cut him some slack. He may be a lot better in the second. He may be, a lot better, come his second season, because obviously he'll be a bit more used to the Premier League by then. But we've not seen that. I mean, we've seen a slight improvement in him this season, but we've not seen like a major improvement. And to be honest, I don't feel like we're ever going to see that. Like we're ever going to see. Like I don't feel like we're ever going to see a major improvement from him. He just doesn't. It just feels like he doesn't belong at United anymore. He's not fit to wear the United shirt. The reality of the situation is Andre Onana is actually so fucking bad. He makes Massimo Taibbi actually look good. This is the thing. Massimo Taibbi was shit in goal for Man United. But Andre Onana actually makes him look somewhat decent. Because that is how bad Andre Onana is the fact that he actually makes fucking shit goalkeepers look decent. And obviously Massimo Taibbi is one of them. He actually makes Massimo Taibbi look decent. He's so fucking bad, Andre Onana. Like, I don't know what to say. I definitely feel like he doesn't deserve to be our first choice goalkeeper anymore. I don't want him as our first choice goalkeeper anymore. He doesn't deserve to be our first choice goalkeeper anymore when the fact that he's making mistakes, so fucking consistently. This is the thing, the mistakes that he's making are so consistent in the league at the moment. It's not even funny anymore. Some of these ridiculous mistakes that he made. Even a world-class goalkeeper wouldn't be making a mistake, wouldn't be making the sort of mistakes that Andre Onana makes on a regular flipping basis. You know, as I said, I'm not going to blame anybody else for the fact that we lost that game for the fact that we lost that game uh, against Lyon on Thursday, because Um, it, because at the end of the day, there wasn't really any other player that was to blame for the fact that we lost that game. The only player that was really well, we didn't lose the game, obviously we drew the game. The only person who was to blame for the fact that we didn't win that game on Thursday night was Andre Onana. Had he not made that fucking mistake, that error, that sort of mistake again towards the end of the game, Lyon wouldn't have got that equaliser. And we would have come away from Lyon with a win. And that's what we should have been. Yes, we were 2-1 up. We should have been, coming away with that game. Praising the fact that United have walked away from Lyon with a win. But Onana hostage yet again. And the sad reality of the situation is he has hosted us so many times this season. It's gotten to the point where, before I tried to be a little bit less critical towards Andre Onana, but I can't not be critical towards him anymore. I can't, I'm not willing to defend Andre Onana anymore. The guy is a fucking joke. He's so flipping incompetent, it's unbelievable. And to be honest, even a breadstick would probably do better in goal than he can. There's not like I look at goalkeepers that we've had. Like even Thomas Husak wasn't too bad compared to him. I don't even think Ben Foster was that bad compared to Andre Onana. You know, it's just absolutely embarrassing the fact that he's constantly making mistakes in big games like that. I mean, I know that in big games like that, you really feel the pressure. You're expected to put in these world-class performances, and obviously things can go either way. But it's just madness, really. At the end of the day, that he's making such stupid mistakes. In the biggest games of the season. This is the thing. He is making these big mistakes, on a almost regular basis, and it's going beyond the joke. I honestly don't know what to say. It's just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. The fact that he's putting in such bad performances consistently. And this is the thing, like, his performances for United have been consistently bad. There's been no improvement from him, in relation to his previous performances. You know, and I don't think there's ever going to be a point where he does actually improve. I think he's always going to be he's always going to be shit. He's never going to change. He's never going to get any better than what he is now. The guy is a fucking dinosaur. He stands there like, oh, look at me, I'm Andre Onana. More like fucking Andre O Disaster, which is what people should be calling him. Or fucking, I mean, that is what he is, Andre, that's what his new name is, Andre O Disaster. Oh, as I like to call him, I don't know why, but I've given him this nickname, Andre O Banana, because that's what he looks like. The guy's fucking useless. And I don't say that about many players. I mean, there are a few other United players that aren't completely fucking useless. And he's one of them. Hoyland is useless, Onana is useless. When I look at Onana, I never understand why Eric Ten Hag signed him. I never understand why we let David De Gea go. That was one of the biggest mistakes that we've made in the last few years. Is letting David De Gea go and then bringing in someone like Andre Onana, who isn't even good enough to be a goalkeeper for United. I tried to give him, I tried to cut him some slack, but no, I ain't prepared to do that anymore. I don't think anybody's prepared to go easy on him anymore because he's making so many fucking big mistakes in games where we need him to be putting in a decent performance. He's making fucking stupid mistakes that are leading to the other team scoring a goal. It's ridiculous. I mean, how many goals have we conceded this year due to mistakes this season due to mistakes that were made by Andre Onana? Quite a few. Andre Onana is fucking dreadful. Every game we go into, every time I look at the squad and I see he's in goal, I know that there's going to be at least two or three goals conceded. And the one thing that's always guaranteed is that he's always going to make a mistake in a big game where good performances really matter. He didn't. This is another one of those times where he didn't show up, where he didn't put in a good performance. You know, and we need a goalkeeper that will consistently put in decent performances for us and actually put in good performances in games where that actually matters. You know, I actually think by India would have done better if he'd have actually started out to play India in goal for that game against Leon on Thursday night. We probably would have won that game. As I mean, the reason why I sort of highlight by India so much is because I was so impressed by that performance from him in the FA Cup against Arsenal. It wasn't bad in that. I mean, yeah, hey, he was a bit shaky in the first half, but in the second half, he really showed what he was capable of. He really showed what he could do. And I think we would have seen glimpses of that against Lyon the other night had he started the game. I think he would have played brilliantly in goal. But again, Amarim decided to go with Onana, and look what happened. He starts Onana, and Onana makes two mistakes which lead to Lyon scoring goals that they should have scored. But it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's got to the point where I don't think there's a single United fan who actually has any respect for him. If there are actually people out there who are still willing to try and defend Andre Onana, then fucking wake up. If there are people out there that, are still willing to try and defend Andre Onana, then they need to seriously wake the fuck up. If it's not about, he can't get any worse than he actually is right now. He's fucking dreadful. You know, and this is I mean, like most teams have a decent fucking goalkeeper. We have a goalkeeper goal that's fucking useless. It's like absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we need play. The thing is, we need players that we can rely on. We need players that we can count on to put in good performances, and we can't rely on Andre Onana. I think it's been shown that we cannot rely on him. We need to get rid of him and actually bring in a decent goalkeeper that we know we can rely on to put in in a decent, solid performances, and not make the sort of mistakes that he's making on a flipping regular basis. I mean, how the fuck does Andre Onana expect the United fans to get behind him and show support him, respect him, when he's constantly making mistakes like that in big games where decent performances are absolutely necessary? He's made mistakes that cost us the game. We were winning the game and we should have won the game. We were 2-1 up, and he makes a fucking mistake which allows which allows Leon to score another goal when we should have been walking out of there with a 2-1 win. It's fucking ridiculous. How many more mistakes is he gonna keep making? How many more times are we gonna keep starting him when we should be starting fucking out to by India? Give that man a chance to show what he can really do in big games like that. Don't keep starting Onana in games like that. As I said towards the start of the video, if we start him in the second leg on Thursday, we're out. We had going. If he starts that second leg game on the second leg of the game on Thursday, of the tie on Thursday, Old Trafford, we're not going through. We're going out. We're going out. Simple as that. We're gonna get past Leon with that absolute dickheading goal. We're out of the competition if he actually starts the game. Mark my words, we're doing nothing against him. We're doing nothing with him in goal. We'll be out of the competition there and then. we want to get to the semis, we want to get to the final. But if we have him in goal, we're not going to do that. We want to win the Europa League, but with Ronaldo in goal, we're not going to achieve that. We're not going with Ronaldo in goal, we're not getting anywhere near the final. Simple as that. If we actually have Bayern in goal, maybe we might stand more of a fucking chance of getting to the final and even winning the tournament. But if we keep starting Onana in goal, we're not going to win games. As he keeps making mistakes time and time and time and time again. This is why I don't understand why the fuck does Ruben Amorim keep starting him when he keeps making stupid fucking mistakes. Drop the guy from the team and give our second choice goalkeeper a chance, man. Don't keep starting him in big games like that, but only for him to make fucking stupid mistakes. If he takes that risk on Thursday night of starting Onana and goal in that game, I'm fucking done. Because if I was the manager of the club after that performance on Thursday night, I'd be dropping Onana for the second leg. I wouldn't start him. I wouldn't take that risk. I'd start our second choice goalkeeper. But knowing Ruben Amorim, he'll be a fucking idiot and start Onana in goal. He won't care that Onana cost us the game the other night. He won't be bothered about that. He won't be bothered about the fact that we should have won the game, but Onana's mistakes cost us. Oh no, he'll still start that. He'll still start Onana in goal. When Onana's shown that he's a player that we can't fucking rely on. It's fucking ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous. I've said my piece on this. Hope you've enjoyed this little video. I thought I would do, I really want to do my viewpoint on that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you for another one soon. Bye bye.